don't think they would come back or should come back, but you do think the royal family would benefit from them being back?
I think most definitely, but the reality here, and there's a biblical saying that sums this up, the stone the builder rejected became the cornerstone. The cornerstone cannot revert back to the stone. That's an abomination. So everything needs to feed into the cornerstone.
Okay.
As far as I'm concerned, Harry and Meghan are looking like the cornerstone right now. So if the royal family should be looking to say, can we come under your banner?
Oh, wow, Richard. Right, firstly, you're a vulture.
I think
that Dr.
Shola was slightly unkind in the sobriquet that she gave me. I'm glad that you withdraw it. The facts, however, are this is a serious issue, especially at a time when King Charles and also the Princess of Wales are both seriously ill. But the King is much better. Now, what we are looking at with the issue of whether Harry and Meghan, in a hypothetical sense, of course, assuming they wanted to, would come back, is something that is fundamental. That is the issue of trust. The royal family don't trust them. And the reason they don't trust them, well, they wanted a half in, half out. They said this. They demonetized their royal family and their connections there for gain, and then they trash it. And this is the problem. And this is perhaps the reason that, to everyone's surprise, by the way, that Harry and Meghan documentary which trashed the Commonwealth.
Do you think that...
And also, you're looking at Spare and the interviews around it, and that attacked Queen Camilla, and also...
When are you all going to grow up? Come on.
It's not a question of growing.
You all keep bringing out the same narrative. It is tired. Oh, they betrayed the royal family. They did not betray Jack Hall. They did not betray Jack Hall, because at the end of the day, all of this palace sources were the royal family dishing out dirt on Harry and Meghan. All Harry and Meghan did was to defend.
The moment this Good Morning Britain clip begins, you can already sense the tension crackling beneath the studio lights. It's the same old setup, the British media posing the question they never ask in good faith. Should Harry and Meghan be brought back into the royal fold? As if this couple is some misplaced furniture that can be dragged in and out of the palace whenever the institution feels a little understaffed or suddenly short of sparkle. But then Dr. Shola Moshogbamu leans forward, her eyes fierce and focused, and she delivers a line so sharp the entire conversation shifts. The stone the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. In that instant, she wasn't just debating, she was prophesying. She was telling the truth the establishment has been terrified to acknowledge. That Harry and Meghan, the very people the institution tried to humiliate, dismiss and exile, are the ones proving they never needed the palace to shine. They were the value all along. Because let's start with the catalyst of this entire discussion, their wildly successful, history-making Nigeria trip. A trip labelled unofficial by outlets desperate to downplay its significance, desperate to pretend that this couple's impact only counts if a palisade signs a form. Yet the world saw the truth. Crowds flooded the streets, leaders welcomed them with open arms. Nigerian youths lit up with joy. The entire country felt electrified, uplifted, seen. And not because Buckingham Palace orchestrated it, but precisely because Harry and Meghan moved freely, authentically, powerfully. The word unofficial didn't diminish them, it exposed the insecurity of those who needed to say it. Dr. Shola saw that dynamic immediately. She saw that the institution had once tried to paint Meghan as a problem, Harry as disobedient, the couple as wayward. Yet here they are, doing more global good from Montecito than the monarchy manages with all its press offices and photo ops. The stone the royal machine rejected has now become the cornerstone of modern royal relevance, even without being royals. That's what terrifies the establishment. That's what rattles their defenders. That's why GMB keeps asking this tired question. Should they bring the Sussexes back? As if the monarchy is a benevolent saviour offering them a gift. As if the Sussexes are waiting outside the palace gates, begging to be let in. Meanwhile, Harry and Meghan are thousands of miles away, living in peace, raising their children with freedom, doing humanitarian work on their terms, not the Crown's. And this is exactly where Dr. Shola's brilliance cuts through the fog. She reminds the audience that the institution had every chance to treat Harry and Meghan with respect. They chose cruelty instead. They rejected the very people who dared to be different, who dared to be modern, multicultural, compassionate, and independent. And this is exactly where Dr. Shola's brilliance cuts through the fog. She reminds the audience that the institution had every chance to treat Harry and Meghan with respect. They chose cruelty instead. They rejected the very people who dared to be different, who dared to be modern, multicultural, compassionate, and independent. They pushed Meghan to the brink, then weaponized her popularity against her. They underestimated Harry's loyalty to his wife and children. They expected him to choose the crown over love, tradition over truth, silence over self-respect. And when the couple walked away, when they refused to keep sacrificing themselves to preserve royal optics, the palace didn't just lose 2 working royals, they lost the global ambassadors the world actually wants to hear from. Now the media is trying to reframe the narrative with a straight face. The king is unwell, Kate is away, William is overworked. Suddenly, the same voices who called Meghan divisive, difficult, or attention-seeking want Harry and Meghan to swoop in and rescue the monarchy like loyal employees who owe them unpaid overtime. Dr. Shola wasn't having it. She made it crystal clear. The Sussexes do not exist to patch up an institution that refused to protect them. They do not exist to fill staffing shortages. They do not exist to serve a narrative that only values them when the palace needs publicity or help. And here's what the critics can't stomach. The Sussexes are thriving without the crown. They are, honestly, more relevant globally, more influential, more loved. They have built a brand rooted in compassion and modernity, while the monarchy clings to, dusty traditions and defensive PR tactics. That's why Dr. Shola's cornerstone line hit them like a hammer. It exposed the truth they have been hiding from. The institution needs Harry and Meghan far more than Harry and Meghan need the institution. We're witnessing the dawn of a new era, where influence is built on authenticity, connection, and, a genuine desire to make change. The old rules don't apply anymore, and the world is watching as new leaders step forward to shape what comes next. But she didn't stop there. She reminded the panel that this couple's popularity is real, organic, and honestly, unstoppable. Their trip to Nigeria wasn't a fluke. It was a demonstration of who they've been all along. Harry, the prince with a heart for service, who has created movements like Invictus that, outshine anything the palace produces. Meghan, the woman whose presence alone breaks centuries of outdated norms, whose compassion moves millions, and whose charisma, terrifies the insecure. Together, they represent modern leadership, empathy, intelligence, and cultural awareness, a combination the monarchy didn't know how to handle. So instead of embracing it, they rejected it. And now that rejected stone stands tall, becoming a foundation for a future the monarchy still doesn't know how to build. Meanwhile, commentators like Richard Fitz, they cling to the outdated idea that the institution is somehow above accountability. They mumble about tradition, duty, and loyalty, but never actually acknowledging the racism, the bullying, the leaks, or the smear campaigns that drove Harry and Meghan away. They refuse to admit that the monarchy's biggest mistake wasn't losing the Sussexes. Honestly, it was pushing them away in the first place. And that's exactly why Dr. Shola's voice thundered through that studio. She just refused to let the narrative be twisted again. She refused to let them, gaslight the public into believing Harry and Meghan owe the monarchy a comeback. She reminded everyone that this couple has already built something far more meaningful than any royal title, a life anchored in love, purpose, and authenticity. And as she spoke, you could see the discomfort on the opposing faces, because she was telling the truth the establishment avoids, the truth the haters deny, the truth that echoes louder every time Harry and Meghan step onto a world stage and the crowds roar like a homecoming.